Imagine variables as labeled boxes where you store information in your code. These boxes hold different types of data, like numbers, words, or even lists of things. Why are they important, you ask? Well, variables make your code reusable and flexible. Think about it. Instead of typing the same value over and over again, you can just use its variable name. It's like giving a name to a piece of information so you can easily refer to it later. For example, instead of writing 2 plus 2 every time, you can store the value 2 in a variable called number and then write number plus number. This makes your code much cleaner and easier to understand. Plus, if you need to change the value, you only have to do it in one place, where you define the variable. It's like having a magic box that updates everywhere else in your code automatically. Variables are the building blocks of any Python program, allowing you to store and manipulate data effortlessly. So let's dive in and learn how to create these handy boxes in your code. Creating a variable in Python is as easy as pie. You simply choose a name for your variable and use the equal sign to assign a value to it. That's it. You've just created your first variable. Let's say you want to store your age in a variable. You can do this by writing. Now, Python will create a variable called age and store the value 25 in it. You can use this variable anywhere in your code to represent your age. For instance, you can print it to the screen using the print keyword. This will display 25 on your screen. You can also use variables in calculations. Let's say you want to calculate your age in months. You can do this by multiplying your age variable by 12. This will print 300 on your screen. See how easy it is to work with variables? They make your code much more dynamic and powerful. Remember, you can store any type of data in variables, not just numbers. You can store text, lists, and even more complex data structures. Now that you know how to create variables, let's move on to the rules and conventions for naming them, so you can write clean and readable code. Just like naming your pets or your favorite houseplants, Python has some rules and recommendations for naming your variables. These rules ensure that your code is understandable and avoids conflicts with Python's own keywords. First and foremost, variable names in Python must start with a letter or an underscore. You can't start a variable name with a number. So, age and underscore age are valid variable names, but 25age is not. Secondly, variable names can only contain letters, numbers, and underscores. No special characters like spaces or punctuation marks are allowed. Stick to alphanumeric characters and underscores, and you'll be golden. For example, my underscore variable and variable 1 are acceptable, while my variable and variable hash are not. Lastly, Python is case-sensitive, which means that age, and age are all treated as different variables. It's best to be consistent with your naming conventions to avoid confusion. Following these simple rules will make your code more readable and prevent errors. Now that you're familiar with naming conventions, let's explore some essential Python keywords that will empower you to control the flow of your programs. Keywords are like special commands in Python that have predefined meanings and uses. They are the backbone of Python's syntax and allow you to control the flow of your programs, make decisions, and perform repetitive tasks. Let's take a look at some essential keywords. Print. This keyword is your go-to tool for displaying output to the screen. You can print variables, text strings, or the results of calculations. If, else, elif. These keywords are used for conditional execution. They allow your program to take different paths based on certain conditions. For example, you can use if to check if a variable is greater than 10, and execute a block of code only if the condition is true. Def. This keyword allows you to define your own functions, which are reusable blocks of code that perform specific tasks. Functions help you organize your code and make it more modular. Understanding these basic keywords will give you a solid foundation for writing more complex Python programs. As you progress, you'll encounter many more keywords, each with its own unique purpose. Remember to use these keywords correctly and avoid using them as variable names.